Okay, good evening and welcome to Foxborough Conservation Commission meeting. First time in a long time that we've had members present and not entirely on Zoom. We do have some members on Zoom. Would they sign in, please?
I'm here, Bob. This is Jeff.
Jeff, okay. I see Jim.
Bob, this is Jim. How you doing?
Good to have you. And we have Rich, Peter, and David. So we have a full board except for Judy, who is retiring, and we will miss her immensely. At this time, we have an open discussion. Any public comments? Did you want to come up and talk about your scout project real quick, like?
So I finished I worked on my project on May 8th,
Okay.
and it is pretty much completed. And I sent a email about the extension to it, and if you had any requests to change the ending of it in any way. If you want, I can tell you about like the progression of how the project went.
Yeah. Relatively quickly.
Brian came in and talked to me today, and I said just a quick explanation. I forwarded pictures, I put them together and forwarded them to
Okay,
everyone so they
okay.
could see what you did.
Go ahead.
So when we got there, we first cleared the pathway of several trees, one of which we repurposed later in the project. Our second step was to unplank the entire bridge, and after that, we used a come-along to lift the existing poles and move them away from where the bridge is. We repurposed the tree that we cut into supports for the bridge to raise it out of the water and prevent future rot from it.
Okay. Before we go too much further, you might want to tell, and I hope we have a large audience, but they have no idea where you're talking about. So.
Or who he is. Or who he is.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
My name is Brian Hurlshoe, and I'm doing a conservation project for the rank of Eagle Scout.
Okay.
My project is repairing wetlands bridges in the trails off of Chestnut Street, which are connected to the Lane property.
Thank you.
Where was I in the explanation?
The come along and the repurposing of the.
In the pictures that were sent to you, it shows that we moved the poles and we added the fallen tree and the cut up pieces of it to lift it out and prevent further rot.
Okay.
And
Okay,
that
thank you.
also was part of reducing the tilt that the original bridge had.
Mm-hmm.
We then lifted the poles onto those supports that we created and further leveled it. And after that, we replanked the bridge and extended it widthwise about a foot.
Okay.
And made the entire thing more structurally sound, as well as adding an extension across the ending of the bridge because there was just a gap that was just water there.
Mm-hmm. I'm very familiar with it, so. Now, do you still have that gap there where one kind of overhangs the other?
Yes, I heard earlier today from Mrs. Pierce that one of you had suggested hooks for it, and I like that idea, so.
Okay, I'd like to get it level
Yes.
if at all possible. Other than that, it's a job well done.
Thank you.
Any comments?
No, that was just mine on the, trying to get that level with looking eyes.
David?
Yeah, no, they did a good job.
Okay. Jim, any comments?
Oh, great job. Great job.
Okay.
Thank you.
And where did Jeff go?
I'm here.
There he is, okay.
So yeah, I have a bunch of questions. So in the process, I have not been able to get out there to see. I heard from a neighbor that it's when you walk across it, it still dips down. Is that still happening, or is it stable when you're walking across it?
It's stable.
Did you hear him, Jeff?
Yep. And then at the end, in the pictures that were sent out, at the end when you're walking where the short piece is how it looks like that when that ends, you're still in wet area. Is that correct?
No, it reaches to a area where there's dry dirt and a bunch of tree roots, which then goes on to another bridge that we added planks to in place of planks that were degrading.
Okay, I'm just looking at the picture, and it looks like it's not clear from the pictures that there's at that end that it's not in danger of getting wet at that end as well, and then sagging down. If you extend that out, the pictures aren't on the screen. If you extend that out, it looks like it's putting up against. Is that a tree root?
No, it's actually it's laying on, it's kind of like it's a weird pile that was already there of like sticks, and there's also gravel in there for some reason that we did not add, so.
Yeah, I mean, when you work on that end, I would appreciate if you look at that end as well, because with just sticks and things, I have a concern that that's also going to then start getting wet and degrading at that end because you have to pull that out to make the walkway level. So when you go out to do that, if you could just take a look at that end and see if there's what's going on, see if there's any chance of not just sitting on a pile of sticks, if there's some more stability there.
I will do that.
Okay.
Anything else, Jeff?
Not right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Jane, any comments?
Nope.
Okay.
No, they did a lot of hard work, obviously, from the pictures. I have not had a chance to go out and look at it either. I know. Heaven forbid I should have fun like that when I'm working.
Jeff, you brought up a point here that the way the second portion of the bridge is shot on drops off, there's no ramp there to let it be a nice
Right.
incline, and that the reflective paint does no good during the day, only if you're out there at night.
And you
And
shouldn't
only
be
if you
out
got
there.
a light.
Right, unless you go catfish fishing.
Yeah.
I think something should be done so it gradually goes up. You don't have that tripping hazard. And that's, Jeff brought up a good point that's something that should have been thought of. And I don't think it would take much to do it. You need just somebody to find, to make the triangular cuts for support of a.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
I mean, it's not necessarily handicap accessible.
No, but that
And,
trail.
no one's supposed to go there at night anyway.
No, but that trail is one of our 5 that we want to do.
One of your what?
5.
That you want to make accessible? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Because he was there and Judy was there, so they agreed. But I would make that recommendation that should be done. There are some elderly people that do that short walk before they hit the hill, and they just turn around and they come back, and that's a tripping hazard.
Yeah.
So,
For the project, I will cut off, there's an extension kind of to one of the poles is longer than the other for whatever reason. I'll cut off that so I can do the hooks to it to make that part level, and then I will add the triangle cuts to make it a ramp for you. So.
okay.
Fantastic. Good. Any other questions, comments?
I think before you do that, one of us should just go out there and see what you're doing, and, you know, we'll just listen to whoever's in charge of helping you do it.
Yep.
Okay? Before you nail it in.
So give Jane a call, Ms. Pierce, when you're ready to go out, and she'll contact one of us and we'll get out there.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you all very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Good
Getting to
job.
be very popular out there, and that's a great improvement.
Yeah. 7:05, we have a notice of intent pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267. The Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, June 14th, 2021, at 7:05 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom on a notice of intent filed by Stephen David, Cedar Development, for the construction of a one-story warehouse with associated parking and stormwater. I hope it's stormwater management at 130 Moore Street, Assessors Map 888, Parcel 35. Portions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. Yes, who do we have?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting. Are you able to hear me?
Can you crank your volume a little bit?
All right, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better, thank you.
Excellent. I'll make sure I just keep my voice high. So Mark Arnold again with Goddard Consulting here on behalf of Stephen Dave for Cedar Development and 130 Moore Street. So if I'm able to share my screen, I'm sure the commission has the plans before them.
Yes.
But I'm going to pull up the plans now. So hopefully you can see now we have 130 Moore Street. So this is an existing lot in the town of Foxborough, and we have a notice of intent to redevelop the property. And so I'm going to walk through just the existing conditions.
Okay, now which plan is that? We have a bunch of...
This is sheet number 2. So sheet number 2 of your plan set is an 8-sheet plan set. This is the existing conditions plan.
Okay.
So this plan reflects the wetland resource areas that were confirmed under an ORAD issued in January of 2020. There's several different resource areas on the property. We have bank of pond here, just to the north of the property. We have further bank down here with the spillway. We have edges of wetlands, BVW, in this area here, along with bank of pond. It kind of varies depending on what it is, but it's a similar buffer basically there. You have an isolated wetland to the south of the property that just crosses over the property line. And then as the commissioners, I'm sure, are familiar with this area, there's a floodplain as well, BLSF, bordering land subject to flooding, that has an elevation of 181.4 per FEMA, and that is this darker dashed line right in here. So the whole property is almost all within buffer zone to the commission, and then the areas that are outside the buffer zone are within bordering land subject to flooding. So the entire property is basically jurisdictional to the commission. So this is an existing contractor's yard. You've got an existing gravel area in here. You've got an existing old garage wall system. There's no roof, but the walls are still up there. There's a container, and there's some active stockpiles on the site. And the goal is to redevelop the property, put up a warehouse, and really clean up everything that's happened there. So those are the existing conditions. Again, it's been fairly disturbed. In the notice of intent package that you saw, there were several photos showing the disturbance of the property. Would you like me to show you those photos before I move on to the proposed project?
A quick question for you. I do not see any, and you did not mention riverfront area.
Correct. Under the ORAD that was issued by the commission in January of 2020 did not have riverfront found on the property.
Is that?
No, actually, what happened was it was continued for about a year, and then finally the applicant said, well, what can we do to bring this to a close and get an ORAD? And it was suggested by one of our members that you simply omit riverfront and deal with it when you do a filing of the notice of intent.
Okay, I have a question first before you go any further. Are we
Certainly.
dealing with this, are we dealing with the same applicant and the same engineering consultant firm? Because
Yes.
it says Summit Engineering and Survey. I thought Goddard did everything.
Goddard is the wetland consultant. Summit Engineering is the surveyor and engineering for the project. So we're this wetlands consultants. We're not professional engineers
Okay.
or surveyors.
And the applicant's the same one that we've been dealing with over a year?
Yeah. So the applicant's the same owner. The applicant is just being represented by a friend of his, just so that his friend can have everything go through him versus through the direct owner. But that's basically the case. Yes.
Okay.
So Jen, what do we do about the riverfront?
Well, as discussed during the very extended hearings for the ANRAD, they need to address riverfront with this filing.
Okay,
It's within the 200-foot riverfront, and it is not a mill site. The mill is across the street.
okay.
So it was my understanding, and in part in my little bit of lack knowledge of the hearing process that occurred previously for this project, but it was my understanding that we had an ORAD that said that the resource areas that were shown on the plan were accurate, and that that we didn't have we had bank, we had bordering lands such as flooding, and there was nothing that was said to be inaccurate on the plans as part of the ORAD. But again, we'll definitely look into that, and again, we can address that in a future date. But I think we can walk through the rest of the resource areas, the work within those jurisdictional areas, and just walk through particularly the BLSF, which is an important distinction on this property, and also the fact that we have we're basically maintaining work within existing disturbed areas of BLSF, which if it was riverfront would be comparable to basically redevelopment of previously disturbed riverfront. So this is the existing condition. So again, it's fairly disturbed in the areas that are being proposed for disturbance. I'm going to change my sharing here to show you the. Pardon me, I just want to open up the NOI booklet, which you also have. I'm going to just go. Sorry for scrolling so fast. So this is the existing conditions. So you have this is the back of the area. So you can see there's old dumpings along this slope behind the contractor's yard. This slope's all been disturbed. Different dumpings in different areas. So you see the old rocks that were dumped here. The slope has embedded material in it. Again, here's the back of the garage, showing that. You can see how open the area is in the back. It's not a natural upland forested area with your shrub area. It's almost devoid of shrubs in the back there. Again, this is the back of one of the piles there. Again, right here. So, and I'm sure the commission remembers this from the ORAD process as well as what's being there. So, and then this is just a quick graphic showing you kind of where work is being proposed, and I'm going to walk you through kind of what's being proposed now. So we're proposing a warehouse building in the main gravel yard of the existing contractor yard. There's an associated parking lot here. You've got a stormwater basin on the side and a stormwater basin in the back to comply with Mass DEP stormwater standards. In addition, all this grading is designed to compensate for any type of floodplain disturbance that's happening. We're removing fill piles, making cuts, and all the BLSF floodplain calculations do not take into account the volume within the stormwater basins. So all the floodplain compensation is regardless of if there's stormwater in these basins or not. The floodplain still has more volume when the project is complete than it has under its existing conditions. And so those are the distinctions that are here. So we have buffer zone, we have work within the buffer zone, we have no work within 25 feet. Work within BLSF requires that there's no increase in floodplain storage at 1 foot increments. And we provided the commission with this table, which shows the incremental elevations from elevation 175, which is the lowest elevation where we see work, up to elevation 181. We have the existing volume that exists currently on site, and then this is the proposed volume once the project is done. And that results in an increase of 12,774 cubic feet of floodplain volume storage. So we have more floodplain volume in the floodplain, which should alleviate flooding in other areas. And the disturbance area is around 25,200 square feet. And again, as I showed in this graphic here, we have primary work in the floodplain that's within disturbed areas. We have some minor areas here and over here where we have fairly natural areas that haven't been disturbed with equipment, recently dumpings, etc. And so our goal has been to design this project to stay within disturbed areas and also significantly improve the area. So again, remembering this is a contractor's yard, you have large areas over here in the BLSF and buffer zone that are currently gravel disturbed areas, and now we're ending up with actually natural lawn and meadow space in a way that's going to be maintained, needs to be mowed once or twice a year, but otherwise you have a natural greenscape area versus a gravel contractor's yard, which is definitely an improvement to the floodplain because we now have a controlled stormwater system, controlled footprint of development, and then again, stormwater management that should improve the net resource areas on site while minimizing disturbance of natural areas. As I mentioned, again, we are working within disturbed areas, and then again, we're not within 25 feet, which is the no work under your bylaw. We do have stormwater design and erosion control measures, which is on the plans to prevent erosion. Water quality and water pollution will not be impacted. We have no groundwater wells going in. Work is outside the BBW and IBW. We've respected all those areas. There's no impact to fisheries or wildlife habitat. We did walk the areas of disturbance just to kind of verify there was no unique habitat within those areas that could have been somehow still there after all the disturbances happened in Zork Pass. There's no significant dead snags or any other major habitat that's not unique to the site. And again, the site's an existing contractor's yard, which is more of a threat to the impacts of the resource areas. And so we feel this is a really good improvement to the property when it comes to compliance with the Wetlands Protection Act and the Foxborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw. So I'm just going to change back to the plans just to show you, again, what I just walked you through on the plans there. So we have the existing conditions, and then I'm going to go to this plan, which shows the grading. So you can see, again, we have our erosion control line clearly demarcated on the plan. You can see the contours. We've been very careful to open up floodplain storage in areas where there's fill piles to really allow the floodplain to really expand onto the site. To alleviate areas in the adjacent properties that would have flooding, and so there should be a relief in some ways to flooding in the area because of this project. You have your driveway entrance, your catch basins, which go to your sediment basin here with a nice designed spreader to dissipate velocity. In the back, same thing. You've got another basin with another level settling pond level spreader. To again dissipate velocity as it leaks out with the catch basin. So you got a deep sump catch basin with oil hoods, again to capture sediment. We have an operation and maintenance plan to maintain the stormwater system, which again is another improvement to the existing conditions. And so those are basically what's proposed. And again, I understand the commission has raised the issue of riverfront, and we are within basically disturbed areas, and we can definitely address that further in writing to the commission. But regarding the other resource areas and buffer zone, if the commission has any questions, I'm glad to take them at the time, understanding that we do need to address the riverfront further in writing.
Okay. Questions? Rich? It's a mess area.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell without having the riverfront.
Yeah.
Develop any questions.
David, anything else right now? Peter?
So, just going to draw your attention, looking at the ORAD form on page number 2, under the file. for WA Form 4B. It says right in it, and I'm reading under Section B, Order of Delineation. Please note this ORAD does not determine the boundaries of the riverfront area at or around the property. The Conservation Commission was not requested by the applicant's ANRAD to delineate and approve the boundaries of said resource area. The resource area was also not contained on the plans submitted. And then it says, however, riverfront area exists on the property and any proposed project thereon will be assessed as to its impact of the said resource area. So it is in writing on the documentation that we've received.
Understood, and that's something I guess I overlooked, and my apologies for that. So again, we will address that issue in writing. So I was just hoping that any other concerns the commission may have about erosion control, whether the work in the BLSF seems to be, the commission feels that that's what they're looking for with compliance with BLSF. And again, we are restricting your 25-foot, which in most in all the areas that we can. And again, we've kept some areas further from the wetlands, even in certain spots. But again, I understand that we do need to address riverfront in writing.
What do you mean by that, in writing?
We'll address it on the plans and address
alternatives
the
analysis and that sort of thing?
Yes, exactly. We'll deal with that in the future, yeah. So I understand that the commission needs that information to review this. I just knowing that there's other resource areas with other compliance issues, I just want to make sure that there's those items kind of get vetted if possible tonight, or if there's any questions or concerns or you need clarification that we can provide, we'd be glad to do so.
Well, that's the most critical one, and that was a sticking point during the ANRAD hearings, because as you know, Riverfront has a lot of specific requirements. This would likely, certainly qualify as a redevelopment project, but you still need to comply with all those riverfront requirements.
Yep.
Have any of the building or parking lots been staked out as yet?
To my knowledge, no, they have not been staked out.
Okay.
Too much activity, honestly.
Yeah, I know it, but I would like to have a site walk with you or someone else, just after everything is laid out, staked, and so that we can review it, because it's such a mess out there right now. It's hard to tell where anything is or where it's proposed to be. So.
Understood. So I think we can definitely get the parking lot staked out, the building, and then would you like the limit of work as well?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, the 25-foot buffer.
We can definitely get those staked out for you.
Okay, so when you do that, would you contact the office, and then when your availability for a site walk would be, and then the office will contact us, and we'll get out there as a group, or at least
certainly
a few of us. Okay?
Glad to.
Mr. Chairman.
Anything else?
Yes,
okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Jane brought up the information here on her report that there is a cease and desist order on this property, and the zoning has not approved the current use. How can we approve this, what is shown, when it has not been approved or under those circumstances, the cease and desist and the zoning hasn't been approved?
Are you referring to a cease and desist issued by the commission or by another town agency?
The
building commissioner.
Building commissioner.
Yeah, I'm not totally up to speed on those two issues. I mean, I do know that, DEP usually just prefers to defer any type of zoning issues to other boards. So DEP can issue sometimes permits that say, you make sure that you apply to the planning board for approvals, and that's standard language in there that basically DEP can't say yes, the project can be approved under DEP, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's approvable under another town board. But I will definitely look into those two questions for you when we deal with the riverfront, and I'll follow up with you on both of those items.
Hate to go through the whole thing and then they can't build it.
Okay, I think the building inspector was stopping the current operation, not a new construction. So-
Right, but she's,
Yeah.
Jane says,
Okay, Jane's got just a note for me.
You or David?
Okay. Okay.
The cease and desist was in July of 2016, and the work has been ongoing ever since.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
but if the zoning hasn't been approved, we'd have to almost leave this open-ended.
Well,
Dave, they'd have to go to the planning board for site plan approval.
Yep.
That is for the construction thing, that's what's not allowed, that they're
Okay.
using it for now, for
the
storage of
use.
gravel and such.
all right.
We don't
Okay.
know much about zoning. Diana knows more.
Yeah, okay. So, let's see, when is our next meeting? Do you think you'll have the information by the 28th?
Riverfront area
We will
information?
definitely try.
All right. Do we have a motion to continue until the 28th?
I'll make that motion to continue. 28th.
Do you hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? None? We will see you on the 28th then?
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Mark, before you go, can you
Yes, sir.
tell us when you could have this marked out?
Well, he's going to call Jane.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will contact the engineer tomorrow to get a schedule, and then as soon as I know when they're going to be out there, I'll contact Jane just to give you as much notice as possible.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's only, oh, well. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, June 14th, 2021, at 7:10 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom on a notice of intent filed by River Ridge Holdings for the construction of a 4-bedroom, single-family home at 10 Burrows Lane, Assessors Map 123, Parcel 008. Mr. Buckley. Welcome back to real time.
Isn't this the area that allows us to get back here at the conservation?
No, it's around a little bit more. I think it's more in this area.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is part of Let's go through this.
Yeah, okay.
Huh? Yeah.
There's-
That's a
this
stream.
drops in-
He's-
Yeah, that drops off down here.
Yeah.
Everybody goes down like
Yeah.
that.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Cameron Gray. I'm here tonight to speak about our notice of intent for our project out at 10 Barrows Lane. So this is lot 11, the River Ridge subdivision. So the lot's located on the northern side of Barrows Lane. So if you look up here at the locus, so you come in, you take a left off East Belcher Road and go up Sousa Ave. And then you come to the end of that little cul-de-sac and you take a left. And I'm pretty sure it's the fourth home on the right. So, we are proposing the construction of a 4-bedroom, single-family home.
Oh, excuse me.
We're gonna have to hold the mic, because we cannot hear you. Begin again if you wouldn't mind.
No problem. All set?
Yep, I'll say.
All right. So, good evening, Chairman and member of the board. For the record, my name's Cameron Gray. I'm here tonight to discuss the notice of intent for our project at 10 Barrows Lane. So 10 Barrows Lane is located on the northern side of Barrows Lane. It's Lot 11 in the River Ridge subdivision. So if you look up in the right-hand corner here, we have our locus map. So it's right off East Belcher Road. You take a left onto Sousa Ave and come to the end of it, that little cul-de-sac. And you take another left and it will be the fourth home on the right. So we're proposing the construction of a 4-bedroom, single-family home, along with the associated grading, utilities, and driveway. So a portion of that home and the associated grading is going to be located within the 100-foot buffer. So if you look on your plan here, we have the 100-foot buffer zone marked out. It's this dotted line here. So you can see the front corner of the home sits within that zone along with our grading. So the home's going to sit about 84 feet from the wetlands at its closest point. And the grading's going to take place about 68 feet at its closest point. So in all, we're talking roughly about 3,300 square feet of buffer zone alterations taking place because of this work. And also for this lot, we have, this home's going to be serviced by a conventional septic system located to the west of the home, which you can see over here. So our leaching facilities are going to be located at least 150 feet from the wetlands, and our septic tank will sit at least 100 feet from the wetlands, which meets the Conservation Commission's setback requirements. This home will also have a roof drain system to help with the runoff from the home, which will be located in the rear of the home. So our erosion control for this project will consist of a silt sock located along the eastern property line, which you can see here in the purple. And that silt sock will remain in place until the site's been stabilized. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you. I'd like to open up for any questions or comments.
Okay, last time I was up there, I did not see any trees left. And I see you got a spike to be set in a tree. Is that the only tree in that?
No, so I just used one of the street trees. It's just kind of to show on my plan that I have a benchmark for them to use, or a proposed benchmark, once they start building out there.
Okay, because I didn't see any.
Yeah, it's mostly been all cleared now.
Yeah, okay, all right. That was the intriguing question for the night. Jeff, any questions, comments?
Not yet, still looking through it here.
Okay. Jim, you still with us?
I think he's gone to his other meeting.
Okay. Rich?
No, I don't have anything. The whole place is completely stripped, so.
Yeah. David?
No. Bill, this is the lot that's next to that area that kind of dries up?
Yes.
It disappears into the ground? Okay.
Yes, that's the land that's owned by the commission now. It's been conveyed to the commission, parcel B.
Okay.
Okay. Peter?
I can't think of a specific question at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Jane, any comments? Set?
No.
You're still thinking out there, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm all set.
All set? Okay.
Yep.
Do we have any comments from the audience? Nope. Somebody want to make a motion?
Don't look at me.
No, don't look at me. I know, you can't make a motion.
I'll make a motion for 10 Barrows Lane
Close the hearing.
to close the hearing, number 157-606.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed? None? I think I got enough ayes to...
It's a silent aye.
I do have a comment related to the abutting parcel that the commission has
Okay, what's that?
transferred to them.
Okay.
There's an awful lot of crushed gravel piled all over the place on that parcel. A little bit overdone.
In the open space parcel over here?
Yeah. I
Whereabouts?
had expected.
So, I mean, we put in that head wall just to kind of get that runoff from the wetlands so it continue its natural path. But other than that, I can go out there and take a look and see what you're talking about.
Yeah, because if it's supposed to be natural, it should look a little more natural than it
Yeah.
is.
There isn't much nature left there, yeah. There's not much nature left there.
I know, yeah, the site's been pretty stripped out for
Well, that
this
wide
fall.
area should still look the same. You know, the wide area that's been transferred to the commission with the bounds and all that sort of fun stuff.
Right, the only portion that should have been altered so far is along the road where the grading takes place.
I
And
just
that should
remember
be
being
more than-
really, I was really surprised by the extent of my favorite riprap everywhere.
Right. All right, we'll take a look at it and.
Thank you.
And make sure that they have it straight outside there, the area they're supposed to do. But we did set all those bounds and we set all the signs.
Oh, yeah, I know that. That's been great.
Did you set bounds on these two corners next to our lot and their lot?
Probably.
There's nothing on here.
Not the ones next to the road. They have, none of those have been set yet. But
Okay.
all the ones in the back
Yeah.
have been set. And all
Yeah, it'd be-
the signs that show, I forget what the sign said, but the signs that were telling people that you can't go back into those areas because it's a protected area.
Okay. Good. Any other comments? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You'd take a walk and then after for a while.
Yeah.
You won't recognize it.
It's changed. Okay, that one. It's only 7:15. What the heck? Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, June 14th, 2021, at 7:15 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, and via Zoom on a request for determination of applicability filed by Sean Kelly to level the backyard, extend lawn into a wooded area to the property line, add loam and plant grass at 29 Sullivan Way, Assessor's Map 069, parcel 047, in Foxborough within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. Good evening.
Yep. Good evening, Chairman and members of the Commission. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. So I'm Sean Kelly, and I filed this request for determination. And so as you outlined, it's really in our backyard, towards the end of the lawn today. There's some wooded and brush area that is within our property line. Based on the slope of the lawn, we were looking to level it off a little bit and also take this opportunity to extend into that wooded brush line up to our property line. Within the appendix to the materials or the locus map within the materials that I provided, it does outline the area that we're looking to convert into a lawn. That is within or outside of that 25-foot buffer zone between the property line. And also per the map, it outlined where the wetlands were. That's the one area why we filed the request for termination. Because we're not really familiar with the wetland area. There's really no water or wetlands that we could see back there, but it is noted on the map. So we wanted to make sure we were in accordance with the rules of the road here. So that's the crux of, I guess, the proposal or the request for determination.
Okay, Sean, I have a question for you. Is your the plan that you've sent in with your request is not a real plot plan? Do you have property markers there to define the end of your property? Is there any bounds set?
I believe there is a stone that was put in by the developer, or when they developed the development. But I don't have a marker. I didn't put any markers out there.
Okay, because my concern is, and we've had it happen to us, people treat people like to trim trees, cut trees, or whatever, and they don't know the limits. We've had several cases where they've gone beyond the limit of work and even into their neighbor's property. So I'd like to see some kind of a definite line of no disturb. You can work to this point, but no further established before any cutting takes place.
Where is this located?
Okay.
Off of, if you go up Chestnut Street, going from Cocasset Street to Mechanic.
Yep.
That little cul-de-sac that's off of Chestnut Street, the first one going in from Cocasset.
Okay. If this is a subdivision plan, it would be on record, and I think maybe even the planning board might have a copy of it.
I have it. Of the whole subdivision.
This may show.
I knew I had something, I couldn't think. 25-foot open, no, the open space buffer.
Yeah, this was that one of the
It's one of those.
oddball ones. So there's a 25-foot conservation strip all the way around the development.
Which lot is his?
This is, no, this one. He's
I know,
lot,
this one is clear to here.
he's lot 2.
Okay.
It's just like Dick Davis's subdivisions, some of the people.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's the open space buffer that he refers to as plan here,
Yes.
but it's not owned by us.
Yeah, it was, I think it
It
was.
was an
the-
open space residential development,
Yeah,
But did it get transferred to us?
yeah.
Off the top of my head, I don't recall, but I believe it was.
No, some were supposed to be association taking care of them, and some were supposed to be transferred to us when.
Yeah.
Your memory's better than mine.
Well, according to this plan, there is a drill hole in the concrete bound in the back of your yard between lot 1 and 2, in this case here, between 31 and 29, it looks like, if that's the right one.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
You should be able to find that.
But now that,
And then you go to your next door neighbors, there's another drill hole. No, there's a marker there that shows it should be a bound in there. Whether they actually put it in or not, it's another story. But you got a distance here and a bearing. So you should be able to locate that back line.
Okay. I have seen those blocks in the front yard, so I assume that's how they mark everything, or the corners at least.
yeah, it looks like there's a,
No, there's
No,
nothing up
no,
there. But
okay.
the street ones are
yeah,
here.
okay, yeah.
So, which doesn't help him. He
No.
just needs to find this one.
Yeah,
He can measure out to here with a compass,
yeah,
get a pretty good idea.
yeah.
It shows a bound here, but this doesn't, well, this shows one here too.
Yeah.
They might have installed it.
I don't know.
He might.
Yeah,
be-
and so what I did on site, right, is there's a stone wall that, according to the aerial map, I know it's not an official map, right, but that's the plot line for the chestnut, the back neighbors, and I went 25 feet off that just to give a rough estimate of where that is. But I understand and appreciate the need for formality there.
Do you have a picture of this?
The subdivision plan?
At one point, I think we had it as part of our documents when we bought the house, but
Yeah.
I'll have to dig it up, or I assume it's online too, as the
Registry of
registry of
Deeds,
deeds,
yes.
or no?
It might be online.
It should be on the registry of deeds.
Yeah.
Under plans, site
And
plan.
if
Okay.
you got your septic plan?
The septic is in the
Yes.
front.
No, but you have the plan? It should show your whole lot. And it should probably show you exactly
Yeah.
what's out there.
Yeah, when I was looking, I do have that. It was just having difficulty finding the exact lines. What I was more concerned with was the wetlands area, because we just didn't know where those were.
Yeah. But again, my concern is extended beyond where you into the easement area.
Yep,
Spring Valley Estate.
that's fair.
Jane, I know it's a determination, but can we authorize it only after?
I have some conditions that I have
Okay.
created, and the conditions, it's a
Okay.
negative determination, negative is good. So it basically says, provided, therefore said work does not require the filing of notice of intent, provided that the work is completed in compliance with the following conditions. First one is limit of 25-foot no activity zone shall be marked, then approved by me. There shall be no work beyond the 25-foot no activity zone. I'm calling it that, but I think it's more like that's just the corner of the property, of your property, because it's not really under the bylaws 25-foot no activity zone. It is from the boundary of this whole property when the subdivision was created. So in theory, you can all walk around your neighbor's properties in a trail and get to the other open space if there is any. And then I said, loam, when added, shall not drop off sharply at the back of the yard. So you talk about leveling the backyard, but that would not create any kind of a drop-off, right? It would just to make it slope gently. Yeah, you don't want the
More gently, yeah.
backyard to be level.
There was no intent, yeah. I got a 5 and a 7-year-old. I have no desire to have a big drop-off there.
Okay. So, and I put no retaining walls may be added along the back side of the yard without the filing of a notice of intent. So basically, just mark that 25-foot, or mark basically the corner of your property, which is that 25-foot, and then I'll pop out and look at it. And then you need to be very clear to your tree clearing people, because sometimes they get carried away.
Yeah.
I won't mention any particular sites,
But
there have been plenty.
Yes.
They'd like to get paid by the tree, so it's in their interest to cut more trees.
Understood.
And they clearly have fun doing it.
Anything else?
No.
Jeff, you all set?
I'm all set. No, it's good.
Okay.
With Jane's comments, yep.
All right. Yeah, I was out there today. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for 29, why can't I say that word? Sylvania Way.
Yeah.
A negative determination with the stipulations that Jane has put in relative to the limits of clearing.
Be nice.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So if
Hear
you,
none.
may I add something?
Yes?
If you would like to look at the plan and your deed and all that sort of good stuff, you can go to the Conservation Commission's website, and we have other links. And if you look up, if you click the link on Norfolk Registry of Deeds and then look up your address, your deed should pop up, and then your deed will reference the plan number and year and perhaps page. Then you can look up that as well. It's great fun. And if you need help, just give me a holler.
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Rich's motion.
To basically close the request, now that we've got to vote on whether it's a negative or,
They're sending it down.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You,
They're sending
that
the
was,
last
you just want to close it. Now then, you can make it a negative.
Oh, once we've closed it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So for 29 Sullivan Way.
Negative.
Negative, I'll go back to
Yeah.
make a negative
You've got it all,
determination.
Diana? Okay, thank you.
You got it right, Diana?
Also, I might want to change the language to 25-foot. It's called something else. It's not the no activity zone.
No,
It's
okay.
conservation,
All right.
not, no touch conservation area or something like that.
Okay.
Basically, it's back boundaries.
Okay.
So now we make a motion?
Yes. You want to make a motion for a negative determination?
Make a motion that we issue a negative determination for 29 Sullivan Way
With the,
with the additional conditions by Ms. Pierce, as noted in the minutes.
Rich
Whatever.
already did this. Rich
No.
already made a motion.
He
Peter
closed
seconded
that. He
it. No,
closed
he
it.
didn't close it. He asked for a negative determination with the
Okay.
conditions as Jane discussed this evening.
okay, okay, okay.
You don't close determination.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay, you got it.
Now you
Yeah.
confuse him.
Hey, I'm
It's not a
confused.
They're just overcut something.
Okay.
It's just doing the subject.
Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, June 14th, 2021, at 7:20 PM in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, and via Zoom, on a request for determination of applicability filed by Michael Trowbridge to repair the septic system at 25 Linda Street, Assessors Map 058, Parcel 037, in Foxborough, within 100 feet of a wetlands resource area.
Good evening. For the record, Michael Trowbridge, Hutchinson Trowbridge Associates, 200 Chauncey Street, Mansfield, Mass. This evening, we're before you for 25 Linda Street. We're trying to do a septic repair. We have a failed septic system. We're replacing the system with a different type of system that's currently there. And due to the location of the existing wetlands, which is to the northeast corner, and we have an existing drain line to the southwest, we're kind of locked into one location. So we're essentially building a slightly bigger system and a slightly different system than what was there currently that's in failure. The area in the back is going to require no cutting of trees. The existing tank is fine. The existing system itself is the only thing that's in failure. So the tank will stay where it is. The only thing that will be changing is where the new leaching field will be. What we do have is a fenced-in lot. We have siltation control, which is shown, a silt sock, which will be just to the east of the septic system. And it's a fairly level site, so runoff shouldn't be an issue. This system has been approved by the Board of Health, but subject to conservation approval. The distance from the bordering vegetated wetlands to the system itself is 50 feet, which is Title V.
And how far are you from the pond across the road?
Pond across the road?
Yeah, okay.
I would have to say probably 150 feet at least.
Okay, all right.
We have, the depth, I think, is 100 and... I'm getting old.
That's all right.
160 or 80?
Yeah, it was 180 feet deep.
180.
So that's 90, you got a 50-foot roadway, so that's at least 140, and that's assuming it was right at the edge of the right-of-way. This actual lot had come before the commission for a determination, I think it was in 2010 or 11, for septic repair, and it was basically the same thing as we're doing now. Like I said, different septic system.
Why is it failing that quickly?
I'm not sure.
Repaired then?
I'm sorry?
It was repaired back then?
Yes.
It was repaired back then.
Ooh.
It was a Presby system, which is an alternative system. I
Well,
think,
it's pretty much in the wetlands there.
yeah. the
Yeah.
board-
That-
the-
yeah.
So you're going to basically dig out the old leaching
Take out the old
field?
system, and the Presby system is like a sock-wrapped tube, instead of just a 4-inch perforated with stone.
Oh, okay.
And, I think it was something that the Board of Health was kind of looking for Presby, because it was a new alternative type system. I'm not, no
Bet they're
offense
not
to...
recommending that anymore.
Yeah, no offense to Presby, but I just am a stone and pipe type person. I think those have served houses the best over the last, 50, 60 years than the alternative systems. So,
So this isn't a fast system or anything like
no,
that?
no.
Okay.
Now,
So you're gonna be hauling this stuff out and bringing it in over the drainage easement?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You're gonna be bringing out the old leach in that area, new material over the drainage
No
easement?
stockpiling?
Yes.
so you're going to dig it out, haul it away?
Haul it away, correct. Yeah, there's no
All right.
there's no place to place this on this lot.
Yeah, okay. It's my neighborhood. I walk there all the time, so. I know
You'll
it
keep an
well.
eye on them. You'll keep an eye on them.
I try.
Is that drainage deep enough?
I didn't realize that it failed. I thought maybe it had
That's
just,
this
its
whole
termination
area,
expired.
Actually,
No.
the back end of the house sunk because there's peat underneath there.
Well, that's the one you talked about a
Yeah.
couple times.
Ah, the good old days when they used to build on wetlands.
Were you aware of that, Mike? That the house actually sunk?
Other end.
And they had to go in,
This one did?
that one?
Oh, no.
Yeah. They had to go in, they sold it, but the new developer had to go in and jack it up and reinforce the foundation. So you've got a,
There's some history there?
there's some history there, yes. And I don't know, how did the perk tests go?
Actually, the perk test went fairly good.
Okay,
Yeah.
but, all right. I have, it's got to be an improvement, so I have no problem with it. Anybody, any other comments? Nope. Jeff?
I'm good. No, it's good. Make it
All
better.
right.
No conditions, Jay?
No, I always like to see a new septic system. I don't care where it is.
Yeah.
And,
But this-
and the owners want to see a new septic system as well.
Yeah,
It's
and
tough
they have
having a
the-
family and a system that's backed up, so.
And they have the erosion control, so as long as the Title V is approved by the Board of Health, the Commission's jurisdiction basically is to prevent any silt from entering the wetlands. So the silt sucks or whatever, erosion controls are good. And you do have them on there.
Yes, I do.
That's that orange line, is it?
I didn't, no, the red line is the 50. I didn't highlight the,
Oh, no,
on
I
this,
see
I
it.
didn't
I
highlight
see
the.
it. I forgot.
I
Yes.
was looking at my briefcase for a yellow highlight. I was like, I was trying to keep it simple tonight.
Okay,
Okay,
that's simple
good.
enough.
I didn't want to show off Mr. Buckley.
No comment. Any comments from the audience? Mr. Buckley?
He said, "Take my crayons away," is what he said.
Somebody want to issue a negative determination?
Make a motion for a negative determination for 20, what is it?
25.
Linda
25.
Street, Foxborough.
Linda Street.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You as well.
Thanks.
This is how I celebrate my 31st anniversary.
Whoa.
You got a long way to go, Michael.
With us.
Bring home some flowers.
I already had him home when she came home from work.
Oh, good man.
Well done.
And my son made us dinner, so we're all good.
Okay. Yeah, 7:25, we have a continuation for 16 Garrett's Plain Road. Mr. Buckley.
I'm going to put this up so Jeff can see what's, because he doesn't have a copy. I didn't know we were doing Zoom for brought my laptop so we could. So good evening. For the record, my name is Bill Buckley, Bay Colony Group, and I'm here representing the applicant, Calbrook Construction. So this is a project that we filed a local notice of intent. I think it was back in April, and we met, or back in March, and we met with the commission in April to talk about it. I think, I don't know if anybody wants me to run through the timeline, but I think everybody remembers it, is the project was, land was purchased by the owner last fall. A lot was cleared last December. In January, the vernal pool was certified. We didn't find out it was certified until March, because even at the time of filing, it still wasn't on the DEP website. I meant to check it. You checked it lately? I meant to check it to see if they even had it.
DEP is Kaputski right now. They're all still working from home, and they probably will be into next year.
Probably will be for life.
And they actually had to change the vernal pool, vernal pool, rare species system, recording system, because they were unable to access any of that stuff when they were working from home.
Oh.
So everything is kind of goofed up now.
So we found out in March that it was a certified vernal pool. We met with the commission in April, and then we had some discussions with the commission in April. We got some good comments at the time asking us about moving activity, moving the house outside the buffer zone, asking us to go appear before the Board of Health, perhaps a ZBA for a variance to move the house even further away. We had a site visit in April with several members going out there. So what we've done, I met with the Board of Health last week, last Monday night, and I had a discussion with them. It was an informal discussion to see if they would allow us to keep the septic system, move the septic system closer to the property line than what Title V requires, which is 10 feet, and maybe move it closer to the building, which is 20 feet. So we had an informal discussion with them, and I think what the general consensus I took out of that meeting was that at this time, they would not be interested in entertaining variances because of the fact that we had alternatives to those actions. And I asked the board to ask the health agent to talk to Jane directly to get, so that the words would come from him and I wouldn't be relaying them. So I don't know if he had the chance to talk to you about it, Jane, or not.
Yeah, Bob and I actually met with him.
Good.
And he, Matt Brennan is his name, and he actually sent me an email about it. The board did not, he said, just wanted to let you know that Mr. Buckley had presented to the Board of Health last night in regards to the 16 Spillane Road. The board did not want to issue a variance for the septic system at the property, considering it's a new system. So Mr. Buckley plans to update the drawings accordingly and get back to us. I can let you know when I see an updated plan. So we talked about requirements and that kind of thing when Bob and I met with him.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that you understood that I did talk to them about, see if I could. So what I've done, and I apologize, I'm throwing it at you today, and I didn't get it to you earlier, and especially to Jeff, who was just looking at it on a screen. But what I have in front of you is a drawing I put together. It's a conceptual layout plan of how we could move the house outside of the 100-foot no disturb zone around the vernal pool. So you can see that line, the heavier line in red, 100-foot no disturb around the vernal pool. And I put the house in that kind of pinkish color and the driveway. So you can see the house is outside of it. And this, what I'm really showing you there is a box. I don't know that the house is going to look exactly like that, but what I am telling you is that whatever house we do come up with, it will be outside the 100-foot. So I'm showing you how that can sit outside, including the deck, and it was just outside on one corner, but it would be outside. I'm on this plan as well, you can see below that, lower than the building, it's in black. It shows the existing boulders. So those are the boulders that are there. That, you know, the developer put boulders along there as a guard to stay out, which he hasn't been in there anyways. But those boulders are there. I showed you those so that you could see, you know, how they sit on the lot. And if you look a little bit further down, again in black, there's an existing construction fence that stretches pretty close to the left side of the plan, the left lot line, the south lot line, all the way over to the right or toward the north. And that is there now. It's just a construction fence. It's an orange fence. Again, to show you the limit, you know, it gives you some idea of what's there. So we can show you that we moved the house. So the septic system, if you look to the top, between the house and Garrett Spillane Road, look to the right a little bit, it's in that brownish color. Talks about primary leaching system and reserve leaching system. And both of those are outside of the 100. So what I did is I took a system that before was 2 lines. It was probably 2 40-foot lines, and now it's going to be 1 80-foot line. And what that does, again, is allows me to make it long and skinny and push it away from the wetland while still meeting the 10-foot setback requirement from Garrett Spillane Road. So that would go in the front yard and be 100 feet away. And then in the back, what I did is I know it's kind of shaded out, but the existing grades are in the dashed lines. You can see 306, 304, 302, 300. And then in the heavier lines, those are what I'm calling, proposed grades, conceptual. So around the house would be about elevation 306. As you're looking at the plan, the garage would be on the left side. So the driveway would be on the left. And then on the right rear, again, as you're looking at the plan, that would be a walkout. So what that's doing is we're putting the garage in the higher portion of the lot, which means less activity up there. And then we're kind of matching the grade in the lower portion. So there would be a walkout in that portion of the lot. In the middle of the house, in the rear, if going straight off the back, there's a greenish yellow. That's a proposed wall. It's labeled as such. And what that does is that will hold up, as you're looking at the plan, the left side where the garage would be, and then it goes down to the walkout. So you'd be able to walk out of the rear of the house pretty much at the existing grade, so that would minimize the activity down in that area there. And then it would go straight up, and then you'd be sloping there on the left too. You can see, if you look to the left of the wall, 306, 304, 302, 300. Those are the grades dropping down. And all of the activity that I'm proposing is well within the existing construction fence. I'm also showing the heavy green line, and that's labeled as the proposed limit of the backyard. And what that is that gives the homeowner a 40-foot backyard, which in my mind is a fairly modest backyard. You could see at its closest point, the backyard would be about 67 feet from the closest point to the certified vernal pool. And that's labeled as such as well. So what we've tried to do is to come up with a design that pushes it as far away as we can while meeting the zoning, Board of Health, all of the other requirements to get the structure itself outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, and then give the lot a what I would call a modest backyard, which would be 40 feet along the back. All of it would be within the existing construction fence. Toward the left, as you're looking at it, it's probably within it, probably about 8 feet. I need to get my scale. And then that would wrap around. So this is just a general plan that it needs to be fleshed out, but I wanted to see what the board thought, or the commission thought of it, discuss it, and then see what we can do.
All right, I guess the first question I have is, beyond the proposed backyard, what's going to happen to kind of restore that mutilated area? And also, have you had any conversations with the neighbors as far as the tree cutting on their property?
No, no, I don't think so. I haven't talked to the neighbors. I'm not sure those trees were cut. They were definitely cut outside the limit. You and I looked at it. What we flagged as the limit of work, but I'm not sure they were cut outside. I haven't talked to anybody on that. As far as
I didn't, obviously, we didn't have any measurements, but eyeballing it, it appeared to be some disturbance on that.
No, there was. You and I looked at it, and I didn't see it when I did my initial site walk, and you pointed it out to me when we were out there. So it was definitely cut outside the limit. So I don't know. We'll check that. We'll physically shoot those stumps that are left there.
But I'd like to see some kind of a restoration back there of some sort, because right now it's, I mean, actually, no one would want to buy that and have that as their backyard either, so, in my opinion, anyway.
Bill, on May 19th, I asked that you put the construction fencing on the 100-foot, and it wasn't done.
No, it hasn't been done.
Because now they're going to think it's fine. The idea was to put it at the 100-foot. Initially, Scott said he would not touch anything at the ridge of the hill. And then it's slowly moving down and down and down, and I'm really disturbed and disappointed by this.
Well,
because it was going to give them, the cleared area, a chance to come back, hoping that there was still stuff there.
Yeah. I'm not making excuses. Okay, I'm just telling you that he's been in an arm cast for 8 weeks. So he couldn't do any manual labor. And actually, he just came out of it about a week or so ago. So he still can't do that type of work. But you're right, that's not, but he's also not, it's not a big corporation that he has multiple people to do it. So you're right, he did, and I told him about that, and we will do it if it's, but he hasn't done it yet.
You keep mentioning the construction fencing that's there now, but the intention of the construction fencing was to keep everyone out, not to put boulders in that area because that area has been so disturbed.
Well, I think what he was trying to do was to...
It didn't become clear to me until you sent me the plan showing where everything was.
Okay. We can move that as well. We can also do a restoration. You know, we can do a restoration plan, and we could have our wetland person do that. I think it's our Dr. Rockwood is Scott's guy, and he can coordinate that with Jane of what you want to see done.
Just letting it grow.
I'm sure he'd be thrilled to do that.
Well, letting it grow initially, but putting the construction fencing at the 100-foot, he's basically created his own hardship here.
I want to see a little more than just letting it grow. I mean, I think maybe you have to
Well, I do too, but as a start, move
substantial.
that darn construction fencing so that they won't touch it anymore.
And they have gone back down there again since we were last there. It's been ripped up again further down.
Okay.
I think, well, I don't know, but I think the activity I saw, which was a couple of weeks ago, was up near the road, wasn't it? Isn't it up near the road? It's not down the slope?
Looks like it's all fresh gravel that's all been dug up again and moved further down on the slope.
But it's up, I think it's up near the road, so So let me just scale this real
Well,
quick.
if the construction fencing is down low, that's how far he thinks he
That
can
looks like it's
go.
been moved further down than it was before, too.
No, the fence was not moved. He hasn't been able to do anything out there. But the 100 feet is about 50 or 60 feet from the pavement. So unless the work being done was 50 or 60 feet from the pavement, it's not within the 100. So, and that's all I can tell you, is I haven't gone out and measured it.
It just didn't look like the last time we were there, so it was hard for me to tell what was what.
All right.
Well, you took photos today, right? And
Yeah.
I do have a history of the photos, of historical photos
Oh, you were
from
out there today?
when it initially happened.
In the rain?
In the rain,
Well, we could, if, and I understand what you're asking, Jane, but if the commission was going to be okay with something similar to what I'm showing, then the 100 feet is going to be well within this person's or the future backyard. So what I'd rather do is lay it out once, instead of laying it out and then moving it again. That's what I would
I
like
think
to
it
do.
should be at the 100-foot, because that was what was voted for by the town. And it is altered now, and it's destroyed. And the stuff just has to be allowed to go back and have some trees put in there. We shouldn't even have a bylaw if we're not going to follow it, and he was warned multiple times.
Well,
So this is just
We disagree.
You know I'm angry about this.
We
yeah.
disagree on that, and that the bylaw applies to a certified vernal pool, which wasn't certified until January. This work was done in November. But I know we disagree, so let's just not go there again, okay? Plantings are fine, Mr. Bodie. We could have the wetland scientist coordinate with Jane and come up with a planting plan, if that's where the commission wants to go. If you want, my thought also would be to put in a fence along the new rear of this, about that 40-foot line that I'm showing approximately in the green, so that it's a visual barrier and you won't, you can't stop people from doing something that are, malicious, but, the normal person is going to see that and know that there is a limitation, because we could put tags on the fence that says, no activity beyond here, contact the Conservation Commission. So some type of split rail fence would be a limiting, show a limit of work there, and then we could do a restoration on the other side of it.
How about moving that green line straight across, instead of having that little bucket there?
Bucket on the,
Bringing it directly from here. I don't know why we dipped down.
well, I dipped down to give the guy a 40-foot backyard, if that's what, see, I'm trying to give him 40 feet on his backyard.
Well, his backyard should stop where the house is, actually.
You can do that, but what my experience is sometimes is, if you give somebody something like that, then you're asking for future problems with you, because they'll go beyond it.
Well, we seem to have enough problems already with it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we're here to talk about how we can deal with it.
It's just the way he stripped it all.
Yeah.
It was malicious.
Yeah, it was. It was
malicious.
vicious. It was vicious. Dave, any comments?
This really isn't wetlands what we want to restore. So this, a different type of a person is needed in that dry, sandy, gravelly area that's totally sun. So the plantings, are going to be entirely different. It's going to be a while for them to catch on. Versus white pines would probably do well, but as well as us that if you don't water them for the first couple of years, it's going to be pretty hard unless they have a lot of mulch all around them.
David, white pines are not the habitat. These things live on deciduous south
Okay.
and
Yeah, that's right.
southerly, somewhat facing slopes. So,
It's gonna take a while for the acorns to sprout, since they cut down all the oak trees, so.
Yep.
well, that's why I said leave the stumps, because then they will resprout and, in
Yeah.
theory, grow fast.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Because they're already established,
Yeah.
unless they've been monkey with it.
Peter, any comments?
Can I stop? Peter, can I? I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure, so David, are we done? I mean, what did you want me to do? What was your thought there?
Well, when Bob mentioned about restoration plan, you mentioned about a wetland specialist that works with this particular person in the company, but we're not dealing in wetlands. We're dealing
Okay.
on uplands and
Got
very
it.
dry uplands that's totally in the sun.
Yes.
That's an entirely different type of planting.
So you want to make sure that the person that's doing it
Knows what he's doing.
knows what he's doing, right, in that area, right? And I just call him, because Dr. Rockwood is a wetland scientist, but if he's not the person that can do that, we'll get somebody that does. And as I said, we'll coordinate it with Jane to make sure that it's not something unilateral that we want to do. We'll make sure that it's coordinated and done.
And then who's gonna take care of it?
Well, yeah.
Right.
You know, they sell the lot, the person, the homeowner's not gonna understand what needs to be done.
I think they shouldn't be allowed to build until it's restored
Well, I think that typically, just
and
like any...
established.
I'm sorry, Jane?
And established.
I think typically the deal was, like any other restoration plan or planting plan, is the commission requires 2 growing seasons, and is it 75 or 80% of the plants have to survive before you'll issue a certificate of compliance.
This isn't like every other, though. This is a cease and desist and should probably be issued an enforcement order against the deed.
Well, it's-
Because it's getting worse, not
well,
better.
It's also we filed a notice of intent. This is a notice of intent that we filed, so it would be a lien. It's not like this would be a lien on the property, and when this person, we talked about, the first person will know, but then the next person won't, which I completely agree with you. That's exactly how it happens. But there will be a lien on the property, so it will have to be, before you sign off on it, it will have to be restored to the way you want it to be. So it will always be there. People can't say, oh, I didn't understand or didn't know. It's just like any other one, I think, in my opinion.
That's the problem,
What?
that you think it's like any other one. That's the main problem.
Well, I think it's the same in this particular portion of it when we're talking about how do we enforce a restoration. It is the same, because
How
it's...
do we enforce a violation is what we're trying to do.
We have no teeth. Yep, Bill, the last time that we spoke about this, because I missed the previous meeting and I missed the second sidewalk, but I was there for the first one. I did let you know that I'd like to see the house moved outside of the 100-foot no disturb zone. And
Yes.
I see that you satisfied that on these plans.
Yes.
The issue, and then Rich was, getting right at it, is the rest of the property, the rest of the area, what you're proposing as a backyard, is still in no disturb zone. And to me, no disturb means no disturb.
Right.
Recognizing that, everybody wants a yard when they have a house, maybe this isn't a great place to build a house. Period. Just that simple is where I come from.
Okay.
Jeff, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to see a restoration plan before we move forward and go ahead with anything else. Regarding the backyard question, I don't know if there's a way to, versus lawn versus doing something else that gives them a quote unquote backyard, but still meets the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish. I don't know if we want to entertain that, but I think the first step is to get a restoration plan going and get that, get the site back to, started and going back to where it needs to be before we even go far any way we're forward towards any approval of a plan, building plan.
Okay. So you, what I'm hearing is you want to hear, several members anyways, want to see it, some type of restoration plan before we continue the conversation. Is that fair? I mean, you might want to say, you might end up saying no, but right now, in order to continue the conversation, you want to see what a restoration plan would look like.
Yep.
And also what Jane brought up, that there's supposed to be some type of fence or some type of notification that this is the 100-foot line away from the vernal pool, and it hasn't still been
Move
put
the
up.
fence, move the fence, that's right, got it, I got it, okay.
Because if they've been pushing some more gravel, because it's, as well as I do, how they just keep on pushing, no one's there to tell them, no, you're not supposed to do that. Rich could be right, that this has increased.
Okay. So we will mark out that 100-foot line and get a fence put up, or some type of barrier that, so you can physically go out there and see if there's been activity beyond that line.
And they can see it too, whoever's out there that doesn't know what's going on.
Right, but it's only him. It's not like there's a bunch of guys on the job site. He's out there supervising whatever's going on. So I got it. Okay, move the fence.
And just
Or a new fence. I mean, probably won't move it, but.
a minor thing, but on the NOI on page 3, the bylaw resource areas, nothing was checked on that.
Yeah, you're right. When I filed the notice of intent, I didn't know there was a vernal pool there that had been certified. And
Okay.
I didn't know it until we filed the notice of intent on March 18th, and we weren't notified until March 22nd. Matter of fact, I think when you got the notice of intent, that's when you sent me an email that said, it's been certified. And I said, okay.
I think I copied you on Scott's email before you sent the old notice of intent.
No, that
I
email,
sent him the
I saw that,
sequence.
went back and looked at that email. That email was a thank you from the lady for,
I must have sent you the wrong one then.
it was a thank you from the lady saying, thank you, and we'll, enter this into the database. It wasn't the certification letter, which I got on the 22nd.
Okay, and then Jake clarified it, and I think I forwarded Jake's information to you about the clarification. We were in the middle of a pandemic. You can't expect much. A lot of
My clients expect
things
a
were
lot from me. It didn't
happening.
really matter.
What's that?
Said my clients expect a lot from me in the middle of a pandemic, so, but okay, I understand.
You represent your clients well.
Yes.
All right, I got it. Is there any other comments or
think-
thoughts? I know,
I know this is a conceptual on the septic. I assume this will be a pump system and
I don't know. I don't, you know what, I don't think so, because,
that's not our jurisdiction, so.
yeah. I don't think so, though. This site's really, really good material, so I expected anyways to be deep gravel, no water. We should be able to put it in the front there and keep it down. We have to, we can't have it more than 3 feet deep, so the top of it will be around elevation 303, which means over on the right side, I might be putting up a wall, which you won't care about because it'll be outside the 100. But I might have to put something over there for breakout or something like that, but hopefully not a pump. If I had to move the system way over to the right, that would be a pump.
Yeah.
But, great.
All right, you think you'll have information for us in 2 weeks, or do you want to continue beyond that?
What's beyond, I cannot, no, I have to, I'll be back in 2 weeks because I have another hearing that other night. So that would be that would be June 28th.
June 28th, yeah.
After that, it's...
Any specific time?
At 7:15.
My new
As you
best,
know, we keep very accurate times.
well,
We try.
it's a lot better than some towns where they just give you a list and you can sit there for hours, waiting for you to come up. So at least I know where I am on the schedule.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks.
Someone want to make a formal motion to continue to June 28th?
I'll make the motion to continue 16 Garrett's Blaine Road. Is that it?
Yeah, no, yeah,
There's no number.
yeah.
You guys are acting on tonight.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah.
Second.
No, it looked good.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
I drove by and I looked
Aye.
at it.
Aye.
Aye. I should have asked the ladies in the audience, any questions?
Say, Brock. Yeah, I did.
Yes,
Did you wanna have
Blaine.
them for the, stuff, or wait?
Do we have anybody on Zoom for Mass Coastal Railway?
Coastal thing.
Hi, this is Tom Lewis. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, he is there.
A little bit louder if you could, please.
Is this any better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Let me read the notice and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, May 17th, 2021. Okay, May 17th, we know why that is. In the Gala Meeting Room, 40 South Street, on Zoom, a request for determination of applicability filed by TEC Associates to allow vegetation management, control, and maintenance on the Mass Coastal Railway right-of-way within Foxborough, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. And as same notice, we'll do the other one, so we can talk about both of them at the same time. All right.
Okay. So, if you're ready for me, I'll just introduce myself again. I'm Tom Lewis with Tech Associates. And as you said, we have two hearings. The first one is for Mass Coastal Railroad, and it's for their vegetation management plan. So just some very brief background. Vegetation management plan was renewed. The most recent one expired at the end of last year, and it was just recently renewed. And that's the plan required by the rights-of-way regulations that's administered by the Department of Agricultural Resources. So as part of that, I have to get a determination of the boundaries of the resource areas from each municipality. So that's why we're here. So the first one in Mass Coastal, we did a site walk. Oh, Jesus. I think it was early May, I believe, when we went out there on the Mass Coastal. So we looked at some of the, I think it was north of Spring Street. We walked up to about I-95 overhead. And we kind of got an understanding of the boundaries there. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No, I was walking with you, and I was pleased with the markings and the locations where you've got it, the wetlands marked out. So, Jane, any? Yes. Jane
I have a couple of questions. Did you reinstall or install the markers yet?
I have not. I'm going to be out there tomorrow to do that, actually.
Okay,
So
and also
that
you had told
will
me
happen.
that you're going to meet with the DEP about this kind of a determination. Did you come to any, was he enlightening
So-
at all?
Unfortunately, it seems like everybody has a little bit of a different opinion as to how it's supposed to be done, even within the DEP. So I'd like to tell you I got a definitive answer, but there was still some things that conflicted with, I met with the Western DEP, just so you know.
So
But
what
I've
was
had
his
information
opinion?
from other regions of the DEP, and they're not always that clear. One thing that I can tell you is I heard back from the state level DEP, and they said that they understand that there's some confusion, and they were going to try to put together some guidance in the near future. I haven't seen anything on that, but hopefully something will be forthcoming just to clarify things. for everybody.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, do you have both of them, Diana? Okay. Somebody want to make a negative
Let me read to you what this is for, though, first of
Okay,
all.
all right.
Because for this one here, the Amtrak, is that the one that we did, Bob? Was it, what was the,
The Amtrak was the first one that we did.
and the second one was?
Was coastal.
All right, so I got them backwards.
Okay.
But what I did was, basically, for this one, for the Mass Coastal, I put to ensure vegetation management, control, and maintenance on the Mass Coastal Railroad right-of-way within Foxborough is not, I should say, performed in environmentally sensitive areas. And for the other one, I wrote, and like I said, I think I've mixed them up. Updated the limited spray and no spray zones, in parentheses, environmentally sensitive areas for the Amtrak right-of-ways vegetation management plan in Foxborough is reviewed on site with the applicant's representative. Yeah, so I did mix them up. So I have to change those.
Okay.
So basically, it is not approving the wetland delineation because you're not supposed to do that under a determination, but it is approving or the update of the limited spray and no spray zones, the environmentally sensitive areas.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that was where a lot of the concern was, that they wanted to lock the town in, or whomever, into a 3-year approval of the wetland delineation, but there wasn't really a wetland delineation. It was just a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this covers it.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Yep.
Tom?
Yeah, and I can tell you this issue came up in another town, and one way that they resolved it was that they just proposed to, as you say, rather than confirm a delineation, they proposed to issue a negative determination for vegetation management, essentially.
Right. Semantics, basically.
Yes,
But-
correct.
Yeah.
All right, so now can we make a couple of negative
please.
determinations?
Yes, please.
Motion man? yeah.
Sure. I'll make a motion for a negative determination on Mass Coastal Railroad right-of-way and the Amtrak Railroad right-of-way. Can we do them together?
Yeah, why not? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None, all right. Thank you.
Yep.
Caroline, are you still awake?
They're both going to run screaming.
Okay, you want to come up? Caroline Vines is a friend of long standing. When at our last meeting, she was invited to attend for the interview, but she informed me that she had a family reunion, or not reunion, but a get-together.
Obligation.
Long-standing.
Yeah.
And as I've mentioned many times before, family comes first. So and I told her, do your family thing, and we will have the interview today. So with that, I will, since I'm prejudiced, I'm not going to ask any more questions. I just say she's a friend of long-standing, so. You want to tell us just a little bit about yourself and why you would like to be on the commission?
Okay, so on a personal level, I have a husband, I have 2 grown boys who are in their 30s. On educational, professional level, I have a bachelor's and master's degree in electrical engineering. I worked for in the field for 43 years in engineering organizations, 30-plus years as a manager, managing people both onshore and offshore. I recently retired from Schneider Electric Company here in Foxborough. I started there when it was the Foxborough Company, so I was there for 38 and a half years. When my kids were in school, they were in Scouts and in the music organization at school, so I was very involved with the Scouts. I know Dave Opatka through the Scouts and Foxborough Music Association. Let's see, I've been interested in conservation since I was a kid. I grew up in a small city on the Hudson River in upstate New York, and I was always very disturbed when I would see people defiling the riverbank and the wooded areas and streams and things. So but like the opportunity now that I'm retired and have time to, kind of do something with that, I guess.
I'm hands off, so go ahead. No questions for her?
So you got to see prime time, a lot of what we do at this commission. What are your thoughts after sitting in on a meeting about the process that we just went through?
Interesting. I've never tuned into Conservation Commission meetings, so there are very interesting topics.
You and me both. I'm the youngest member, not by age necessarily, but probably so actually. I'm the newest member to the commission, and I didn't realize that a lot of what we do here is working with builders, and because as I've learned in Foxborough, I'm a resident about 30 years now, that there's not a lot of places left in Foxborough to build that don't have some sort of sticky issue with them, and a lot of it is around wetlands. So we have to work with builders, people like Bill. So it's understanding the bylaws and trying to find that happy medium of development versus protection versus not. So this is a lot of what we're doing. I'm not asking you a question. I guess I'm giving you an enlightenment in terms of like this is the meat and potatoes of what a lot of this is about.
Yeah.
We do get to have some fun. At least I do sometimes when time's allowed. To go chomp in the vernal pools in the woods with Jane and go on site walks like with the railroad company. You get to see some parts of the town that you wouldn't go wandering around there. You see kids going around there maybe to do things that they don't want their parents to know about, but. There's a lot of poison ivy and thorny places that we get into. So,
I yell at poison ivy. So
yeah, well, I retired at the end of March, and in April, my husband and I were cleaning up some of the wooded areas in our yard, and I'm just a few weeks over a good case of poison ivy on both arms. So,
I could have told you the secret cure. It's natural, jewel weed. I'll tell you about it if you're interested.
Do you live on water or near water or wetlands?
No, I live in development off of Route 106 in Foxshire Estates, and there's no wetlands right around my house.
Just curious.
She's a neighbor of Jim Marsh, but they don't know each other. It's
Okay, I know what it is. Yeah.
right around the corner.
So you want to join the commission to not make friends? Is that what you want?
Making friends is always good.
No. It is a lot of time, but you're retired, and
I'm retired.
you're aware of the.
Yeah.
It's not so much these meetings as it is some of the
some of
Site
the, yeah,
visits and-
as I was paying attention, all the walkthroughs of all these, where they're building the houses, and, you know,
Yeah.
that's sort of enlightening to me.
Yeah, whenever I
So
see it,
I hadn't thought about that perspective of it, but,
yeah, whenever I see a tree company, I cringe and hope there's no water next there.
Don't we all?
So I can't really say anything much here or ask.
Why?
'Cause she was part of our scout troop that I was running. And one thing is that she put in a lot of time and effort to make sure certain events occurred and the boys got the opportunities. One thing about this commission too is that it isn't just what you just heard tonight, but unfortunately it's mainly on Jane's shoulders. There's other aspects of working with other departments, but we don't get to see it all the time. But we hear about it. And there are times we can go out and do these site visits once we know about it, or it's set up, you can set it up with Jane and that, and learn more about some of these places, or even some of our parcels of land. We got a lot of parcels of land, a pretty good trail system, but we don't have people that can maintain it. You have to depend on volunteers or scouts, but scouts can't use chainsaws or anything like that.
right.
But we also have involved in planning. That's another part. Unfortunately, land's a lot on Jane's shoulders unless we put up our hand and volunteer to help out and knowing not what to do and how to do it until we're told. But, so there are other aspects that don't deal with permitting. Unfortunately, permitting takes up most of the time for these type of meetings. Remember the old adage, it's only 1 hour a week?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm well aware. I'm well aware of the only 1 hour a week, yeah.
But learning, also, there are other books and pamphlets and stuff like that that you would have to read up on and try to understand. And there's a lot of information online that Jane has put together over the years. And like other conservation commissions online, there's information out there that can bring you. But it's getting out there too and seeing what's out there, understanding what a wetland is or a floodplain and something like that. Just walking around. And that's the big thing. But it's unfortunately, we do rely on Jane a lot.
Yep.
To run the office, maintain some sanity.
Yes, but I love all of your help and welcome it too. And Judy Johnson, who is leaving, was a biologist, and so she dealt with a lot of the things having to do with environmentally sensitive areas and rare species and vernal pools and that kind of thing, restoration. And she did a lot of stuff too, contributed a lot of stuff too. So I'm really going to miss that, and I would love to find someone who would be able to do that a little bit. But I just want to point out that tonight's meeting was very heavy because we didn't have a quorum last time, so we had double our amount of usual discussions, et cetera. And that's why one of the most important parts of this position is to have somebody who reliably comes to the meetings. I guess that's the way of putting it. Because you don't have a quorum, meaning you don't have 4 people here and you don't have a meeting.
You can't do your business. I understand that.
Yeah. I think.
Sorry, Jane, I was on vacation last time.
No, I'm not talking about you.
I know you're not.
I will say, I think last time was the first time that, in my memory, that we have not had a quorum. So we've been pretty fortunate. Diana, any on the record, have we not had a quorum before?
I know we've had meetings canceled due to weather and other stuff beyond our control.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe one
I
other
think
time.
we've
Only
been
twice
pretty
I
good.
can remember since I've been here. I don't know how many years I've been here, though.
Well, I mean, the newer people, we've really stressed that
Yeah.
it's important, and they've been pretty good about it.
I'm usually here.
You guys are all acting really, really guilty.
Jeff, any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. What is, you heard from, one of the things that Jane is talking about with Judy being a biologist, and that's going to be, something that's sorely missed. But what's your background? Do you have any experience with, looking and working with drawings? I know you probably have quite a bit of experience doing PCBA schematics and those types of drawings, but I'm looking, as far as the plan, building plans, and because that's a big part of what we have to do as far as reviewing those, so we can understand where the lines are, where the setbacks are, the no disturb zones. I just curious as
I've
part of
looked
that.
at, seen building plans and looked at building plans, not through my work, but, just on a personal level. So I think I know how to interpret them pretty well.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, I'm a mechanical engineer, so and I work with a lot of electrical engineers. I know what what your background is, but I'm just trying to get a handle on the things that that we work on, and you've heard from the rest of the other commissioners. Just trying to get a feel. I mean, if you have personal experience, that's good.
Mm-hmm. And I have no reservations about. I know if I come on this commission, there's a lot to learn, and I have no reservations about doing that.
What I always tell people is I've worked in other towns, and if the new commissioners, I'll say, you're going to feel really stupid for about a year. And I worked in my own hometown, and I told that to a friend of mine who I wanted to be on the commission, and she's a brainiac, and I'm sure she was thinking, oh yeah, Jane, sure. And she came to me about a half a year later, and she said, boy, I'm glad you said that to me, because there's just so much to learn that, I realize it's difficult, but that's half the fun. Mm-hmm. If you get bored easy like I do, there's so many things. There's so many components to this kind of a position, mine, and I was a commissioner before I was an agent.
Well, I know through work even, you work in different departments or take on a new role or responsibility, and you're overwhelmed for a bit, but before you know it, it all clicks, it all falls into place. So.
Rebecca, we did not have face-to-face with you last time, so would you like to come up and...
Sorry. It's nice to see some of you again in person this time. Yeah, I can give a little bit of my background. I've lived in town for about 12 years. I originally grew up in Mansfield, so not far away. I have a bachelor's degree in biology with a focus on ecology. With that, I spent about 12 years in the biotech industry, but then once I had kids, I mostly stayed home with them, but for about 8 years now, I've been part-time at Moose Hill as a teacher naturalist, helping to lead school environmental education programs. And really, I've been involved with Audubon most of my life. I spent every summer growing up at Stony Brook in Norfolk as a camper and then a counselor, all the way up till I graduated from college. So I'd say sort of environmental protection has been something I've been passionate about for a long time. When we bought our property in Foxborough, most of the reason we bought this particular house was because there's trail access at the end of our street into the state forest. So we spent a lot of time in there. It's also, particularly in the past year, there's been so much more use of our open lands in Foxborough. That's definitely made me more interested in being part of how to conserve it and make sure that it's used responsibly. I love that so many people have been out there, and I hope they continue to use it, but I just want to make sure it's used appropriately. And, I've only been working part-time, so in this past year at Moose Hill, I wasn't able to work at all, and that really made me appreciate that I need something else to do with my brain besides just raise my children. I'm going a little bit crazy. And they're both in middle school now, so I'm finding I did a lot of volunteering in elementary schools, but now that they're a bit older, I'm sort of done with that part of my volunteer career and ready to move on to something new. As Caroline said, it's definitely going to be a learning curve. Like watching you guys tonight, there's a lot of stuff I really know nothing about, but that I'd be excited to learn something new. And I think I do bring to the table some biology background. I know quite a bit about the rare species and vernal pools and stuff in Massachusetts from my work at this. So.
That's very cool. And I brought these for you too, as well as the commission. We've just updated, I just updated the film app for the Lane Learning Center.
Oh, thank you.
And there's going to be a fancy opening for a new program that Nicole Vachon is doing, and it's going to be pretty cool. So invite you or encourage you to come to that if you're interested on June 26th, I think. Is that what it says?
June 26th, yeah.
June 26th. I'm going to be away on June 26th, so I won't be able to be there, but it sounds like it's going to be a real fun time. She's got all the enthusiasm and ideas.
Nicole is the person who actually recommended to me to put my name in for the commission.
Good, and well, good. Yeah, she didn't want to bite off more than she could chew. She was good. She didn't have
She
that
does
speech
that a lot,
impediment
I
of
think.
saying, not being able to say no. So.
Anything
But
from anybody else?
I do want to add one more thing.
Okay.
I've been encouraged to let both of you know that whoever is not chosen for this position, that there are several openings in town for volunteer positions that, did I write it down anywhere? What was it? The
Cultural Council.
Cultural Council's one of them.
Nicole's from, Agricultural Commission.
Yes.
Council meeting, I don't know what they're.
Right, so Christina in the administrative office says, let them know we need other people, so if they don't get this thing, then we'd love to have them for those.
The Cultural Council is partially responsible for this program.
Yes.
Yes.
Largely, really.
Yeah. So any other comments, questions for either?
They're not running away screaming. I think that's a positive note.
All right, how do we want to, somebody want to make a motion or?
I think you usually have a discussion after they left.
I think,
Yeah, we'll talk after, but.
Yeah.
yeah, not in front of them. I think that would be weird.
I haven't had a.
I was like, I want to get it done now.
Well, we're going to get done tonight.
Yes.
Jim's back.
But I'm glad you came up and said something too, because, you know, when you see that little face
Yeah.
on the
It
TV,
does it.
and it's this
I was
large.
glad I was
so
able to come in
literally-
person because I just feel like, I don't know, it's just much easier to make a connection.
I didn't know who you were at first.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that shows you how much I recognize people on there.
On Zoom, yeah. I hate Zoom, but it's a necessity. It's a necessary evil. So.
It has been.
All right, so,
Thank him.
yeah. Thank you very much.
We're so good at this.
You'll be notified tomorrow. How's
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
We've got another
Thank you
couple
both.
issues
Thank you for coming in.
to take care of,
Appreciate it.
so.
Thank you.
Bob, can we do all the certificate of compliances
Yes,
for people riot?
Run away, okay. All right,
yes.
have you got them there?
Yep, 4 Crocker Way is part of London Estates. They need this for a closing, so, or it's probably already closed by now, but they're selling the lot.
Okay.
That's the one that, London Estates Part 2.
Yes, it's the first one on the left-hand side after you cross the little bridge over the intermittent stream. And I visited the site with a PAR representative and Bill Buckley and the landscaper.
Okay.
And I talked about they didn't put the line just right as far as the 25-foot no activity zone, which isn't a big deal because the area is not pristine.
Yeah.
And they put a whole bunch of extra bounds in the back and did a bunch of extra plantings
Okay.
because of it. Uh-oh, you're not leaving, are
No,
you?
cold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know, it's
Yeah.
chilly.
Lasted all night.
Yeah,
Put it on 74, so I don't know what the deal is.
It's hard to believe.
okay.
Is this the one down by the Shell station?
Kind of across from Saley.
Yeah, the Shell, the,
Is that what you mean?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is the area that had that little cul-de-sac that they built off the left side?
Yeah,
Is that about Shailene?
yes.
Backs up to, I should
It
say.
backs up to Shea Lane, yes.
How are the plantings that they put in there?
They look great.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they put in, they were going to be doing a seed mix, wetland restoration seed mix or a native plant seed mix, which I don't really think that's the greatest thing to do, because if you looked at the understory, there was almost nothing growing except for sweet pepper bushes and little low-growing things and low-bush blueberries and such. So they basically just added shrubs
Okay,
in kind
right.
there, and they did a good job.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think
And they
that
put these signs up too, I think,
Oh, good.
Nice.
which I like.
if I recall, that's beyond the 2 years of
May
lapse
last.
on those plantings along that road.
It's good, though.
I'm not
Let's
sure.
try.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, okay. Somebody want to make a motion? Issue a certificate of compliance for 157586?
I'll make the motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 157586.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None?
All right, just skip the two in the middle. 200 Foxborough Boulevard, that's part of the Cabot and Forbes. This is for 200 Foxborough Boulevard only, because that's one of those,
It's a corner lot with no wetlands except across the street.
yeah. So that's one of those, they approved the whole
they already
thing,
stripped.
but they need this. I think it's being sold, so they need it taken out.
One of those administrative types.
Okay,
I make a motion to issue an order of compliance for 157131.
Second.
discussion?
Partial certificate.
Yeah, it's a partial, yeah.
Yeah, it's partial.
Partial certificate of compliance, excuse me.
Discussion, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right. You say skip the other two, Diane?
No, she's going to explain.
They
There's
take
a
a lot
lot
of explaining. So,
She's figured out this puzzle.
these are for Greg Spear. So Greg Spear, his house is lot number 10?
No, Dick Davis is, his house
Yeah,
is.
But so this is
Oh,
originally for
Montgomery
him.
Way?
Montgomery Way. But
Okay.
then we discovered there was another lot that wasn't released. So, and then also the original for the subdivision was never released either. So the bank wants all of these things done so that Greg can, this was already built, so I don't know.
Yeah, closed probably.
So
I
he
think
can
it's
close
closed.
on his house, yeah. So 366 is the original subdivision that became Montgomery Way. It was called 186 Coquesset Street.
Okay,
And then the fourth,
With 10 lots, and the last one to be released is going to be lot number 1, which is Dick Davis's lot, which makes no sense to me, but whatever.
well,
That's what they wanted to do.
I think that's under 420. This was the approval of the subdivision,
Okay.
so they want that released.
I thought they were the same thing.
And then, no, because
Don't
they're two
listen to
different
me.
numbers, because
Don't
this is
listen to
number
me.
366. And then
the other's
to do
420.
the individual lots, they had another order, which is 420, which we've been going through and releasing lots as Greg Spear asked for them. So he came in with his, and then it was found that one other lot wasn't released. We did do a determination on that lot, but we never did a release. So this is to cover 2 lots, 7 and 10. And this is one of those that it was the bylaw order in the state order, so that's why it has two different page numbers. And then after all of this is done, Dick Davis is going to have to come in and ask for a release for the whole thing of 420.
Just smile and nod and approve.
It took me 2 days to figure all this out.
Okay.
Because I had to pull all the old partials and
Yeah,
draw a little map and.
Now,
Yes, she did a tremendous
go to the
amount of
registry
work.
of deeds, which is really fun now because they let you look at stuff for free.
Yeah.
oh,
You used to have to pay.
oh, to look at it?
So I could print them and everything.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I cobbled it all together and
Yeah,
figured it
but
out.
what's the filing fees now? They
Oh,
still,
they're a lot, yeah. I think
Well,
it's
they're $75 a page. or
higher than
something.
that. It's like 80 something.
yeah.
So in any case, this is,
So you need two motions, one to release 366 and one to release 420.
this is why we don't do it this way anymore.
Okay. Motion for 157,366, and then a partial certificate of compliance for 157,420 for lots 7 and 10 only. All right. Motion made. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Jim, you're back.
I'm back.
We're still here.
Never left.
There's something that I need to
Okay.
discuss under my agent's report.
Oh,
It
okay.
has to do with Heaton's.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Matt is in the audience and wants to step up to the plate, but we had a bunch of going back and forth about Heaton's. They want to get the work done as soon as possible, and of course, the commission does too. And unfortunately, the notice of intent was filed after the application deadline, and Diana tried her hardest to get it in for legal notice, but that it was too late, unfortunately. So in an effort to get this done as soon as possible, I asked Mr. Heaton's representative to notify everybody on the Ponset Heights waterfront. And, just make sure that they're all notified that this is going to be discussed tonight and that they can look up the documents, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is, the commission had discussed doing an after-the-fact notice of intent. So in a way, that's what this is, except they wanted to possibly have an emergency certification, except that's already been done, and apparently you can't do it for the remediation work. So after bouncing this thing back and forth a bit with several people, and talking to Mr. Heaton's lawyer, they've filed the notice of intent, they've done all the work, and Matt wants to discuss this tonight, and then I guess you could say informally, but reviewing the actual document, and then do the formal process during the next meeting. And if everything sounds copacetic, I'm not exactly sure how to handle it, because it has not been legally noticed in the paper, but perhaps you could give them the go-ahead and
I think,
formalize it next time.
When I was talking to you, as far as I'm concerned, they can file it after the fact. And
Yes,
get the work
that's
done.
what you all had mentioned.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
this is a filed before the fact, it's just
Well-
going to be legal after the fact. And I figured if any of the abutters were going to appeal it or have issues with it, then we would find out tonight, hopefully. It's kind of
Yeah.
taking a chance, but at the same time, it's got to get done.
Yeah.
Why do they have to file a notice of intent if they're still working under the immediate response action plan?
If you look at the emergency order, is that what it's called? It says for immediate response, only actual restoration or remediation cannot go under an emergency order. It says it on the plan, on the form, on the wetlands form.
But the plan that they filed, the work is going to be done under that plan. It's still it's an immediate response action now, right?
Like I said,
I don't know,
we
whatever.
kick this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and
What's another week? It's no big deal, right? Yeah, let them, if they're going to file an after the fact, that's fine. Then they can get it started.
So you're saying under their immediate response action, they don't really need to file a notice of intent, so they could go forward with this, and then the notice of intent would be a formality?
But if they're going to do the work anyways and file an after the fact, and we can do a notice of intent, is that what we planned on doing?
I guess I spoke to
Yeah.
Mr. Heaton's lawyer about this, and I think he spoke to you as well?
I did. Is this Lovely? Attorney
Yes.
Lovely?
Yeah, we went back and forth on that, and I left it up to you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it just makes sense to get the work started. And
Absolutely.
I think anybody who lives on the lake or anybody would want to see the work done, sooner than later. So
I agree.
I don't think there'd be any concern. And I think the plan that was provided, obviously there's always uncertainties, but seem to cover everything. But whatever way works, provided we can get them out there sooner than later.
Exactly. And Andy Jones was, he gave his input as well under the Wetlands Protection Act, I think, and I think he said that it needed a notice of intent. Honestly, I've downloaded that from my brain. I don't recall. All I know is they filed it. They've notified all of the abutters to make sure that they knew about discussions tonight. And then we can have an order of conditions ready at the next meeting, and they can, as you say, they can just follow through with under their RAO. Is that it, the deal, Jim?
It's the IRA. Yep.
IRA.
I think they're working under
EIO.
the
Sorry.
That's
It's getting late. I'm getting punchy.
Yeah.
Hopefully they reach that closure and they can file a response. It's different now, but it used to be called a response action outcome statement, which is saying that it's clean. So, good.
All right, so
All right.
we can ignore this for tonight.
Ignore it for tonight? I think he's here to talk about it, and then
Oh,
we can
okay.
say it sounds good, and if
If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. My name is Matt Simmons with Endpoint. We're the ones that submitted the plan there. So we want to get this done as quickly as possible, just like everybody else. So we're just trying to figure out the most efficient way. And we have the plan into the state. The IRA plan has been approved. We have a plan in place to minimize any impacts to the reservoir. We want to try to get this thing approved and get it on the books with the remedial contractor as quickly as we can.
Okay. Dave, you want to ask him about it?
No.
Huh? No? Okay. All right, any questions or?
No.
I think probably if any abutters are concerned, they should look at the documents online or come into the office to see what's going on. And as he said, the state has approved this. And I'm sorry, but I haven't dealt with this before, thankfully.
Okay.
So I've done the best I could with trying to corral all of this.
Yeah.
Received one callback from one of the people along I think 2 houses down, just asking when the work was going to be done. They weren't objecting to anything. They just wanted to know kind of a timeline and explain the situation. Other than that, I have not heard any responses.
Excellent. Excellent.
So based on if everything goes according to plan, when are we proposing or hoping that work will get started? We have a time frame?
Well, we'd like to get hopefully within a couple weeks, based on the availability of the contractor, and get some of the approvals as far as disposal approval and so forth like that. But we want to get going as soon as we can. We're kind of we don't want to book anything, not understanding the timeline of what might need approval process to the commission and so forth. But
Okay.
We're ready to jump on this.
So I think if you were to call it an after-the-fact notice of intent,
Yeah.
and then legally notice it for the next meeting, I could have an order of conditions already in to go, and if anyone has any concerns, because this needs to be an open meeting, public process, especially for something like that, but nobody who lives on the lake is not going to want to see the lake get cleaned, I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
So I think if you were to encourage them to contact us if they have any issues, we could just say, go for it, after the fact, notice of intent. Right, Jim?
Yeah, that's fine. Condition it so that, they stage all the material, impacted material away from the water, and any secondary containment, booms, right? I mean, you guys plan on putting those sorts of things in, right?
We have absorber booms along the shoreline right now. We're going to putting in some silt fencing, straw wattles along the edge of the work area to minimize any erosion, sediment erosion.
And anything you guys pull out, you're gonna stage it somewhere else, right, on plastic?
Yeah, the plan is everything. We're going to be a staging area up above in the parking lot. We'll have a frac tank up there to pump any dewatering, anything like that, and roll-up containers will be staged and we'll be loading right into roll-up containers.
So nothing's going to stick around that long?
No.
Great. Okay. Good. Jane, go check it out.
I shall. When they start working on it, I've seen it many times.
Let me know when they, Jane, let me know when they notify you. Okay.
Yeah, let me know when you're getting started and when
Absolutely.
the work is getting set up, and I'll hop out there and see it. I mean, I looked at the information. The DEP is they're the officials, and they say life is good. So I am assuming life is good.
Okay.
Is there anything in the water right now? Are the booms removed from the water?
There are absorbent booms in the water right now.
I'm sorry, was that a yes or no? Or
Yes, there are absorbent booms along the shoreline, along the concrete retaining wall, and we've been conducting weekly inspections to make sure that there's no breakout, any potential sheen or anything, which we have not observed.
Okay, so those will be there during your whole process?
I'm sorry?
Those will be there during your whole process?
Absolutely. And endpoint personnel will be on site the entire time of the remediation, overseeing the excavation and directing things.
Good. Sounds good.
Okay, anything else with that?
No, I'll have an order of conditions ready for the next meeting.
Okay.
Jim, if you could throw me some conditions maybe, that would be useful.
Sure.
If
Sure.
necessary, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Who's the other guy?
Hmm?
Who's the other guy?
Who's? Okay.
This other guy, that's Rick Wozmak. He's the LSP.
Oh.
Okay.
Point.
Speaking of the microphone, Dan.
Anything else?
No,
Nope.
no, that's
Okay.
good.
All right, thank you very much, and keep Jane posted. And we'll-
Absolutely.
Oh, he does. He's keeping me posted. He's
Okay,
asking lots
all right.
of questions. I'm sorry, I can't get back to you all the time. I've been buried.
Understand.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to mention thank you to the regarding the Saley property?
Oh, yes.
Where is that?
That's across from London Estates.
Right
Across
next
from
to.
Snow's.
Next to Dairy Queen.
Next to Dairy Queen.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It's you can't miss that parking lot. It's got a wooden fence around it.
Giant rock.
And you have a lot of people.
You got to go there. It's
Is this
pretty.
the one with the access into the town property? Is that
Yeah,
what we're talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I never knew that's what it was called.
Yep. So, again, the garden club, unfortunately, the Foxborough Garden Club has been taking care of the Saley property for years, and they unfortunately no longer are going to be able to do that. It's been cleaned up, and It's in excellent condition at the present time, so we have to take it over. And so many thanks to the Foxborough Garden Club for their years of service on that property. We appreciate it very much. At this time, I think it's about time. Okay, we got everybody here. Any questions, comments on our appointing the newest member to the commission to replace? No, nobody's going to replace Judy. To fill the 7th spot on the commission. I'd like somebody to make a motion or something, one or the other, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I like Rebecca, the biologist, because brings another biologist to the board. That we're losing with Judy.
Same here.
I'll third that, being a biologist as well.
All right. You gonna say anything, David, or your prejudice is that my Jim?
Same with you.
Yeah.
No, she
did
seemed
you-
most qualified, so.
Yep, right.
I'm all for the, I'll fourth her.
Okay. All right. We will send her name to the Board of Selectmen for nomination to the committee.
And encourage Carolyn to join, and encourage Carolyn to join the other.
Yep, absolutely.
Because she was great too.
Yeah.
But good.
At this point in time, now that we have our newest member, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Diana, because every year, although last year we did not, we need a vice chair, but we also have an opportunity to reorganize. So, Diana?
Yeah, you're supposed to, your first meeting after elections, but you guys don't get elected, so, the first meeting after reappointments, which technically, they were all extended to June 30th. That's how Judy's kind of sort of a quasi-member still.
Can't get away.
Much to her disdain.
But, so you need to, if Bob would like to continue being chairman, you need a motion and a second to keep him, or if anybody wants to usurp him, you could.
I don't think
I'll make a
anybody-
motion and second it.
What was that, Jeff? You want
has
it?
the lack of intelligence to not have Bob be the sheriff.
Motion seconded.
Triple.
So Jeff and Jim, all in favor?
So Jeff, you said, do you want to be chair?
Aye.
No.
All right, so Judy was the vice chair.
Yeah.
And with no Judy, we need a new vice chair. So someone needs to make a motion to nominate a vice chair.
I will nominate Mr. Marsh for vice chair.
Mr. Marsh, are you agreeable to being a vice chair?
He's making a face,
Rolling his
I'll
eyes.
accept it.
pursing his lips and rolling his eyes.
I'll accept the
So we
nomination.
need someone to second Bob's motion.
I second the motion.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now Jim moves up to vice chair. Now we need a clerk. Clerk is
I
the
got
fun
minutes here.
person who
Who
gets
wants
to
them?
read the minutes.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe it's an awful lot, but I think they will learn a lot. I would recommend Rebecca. It's kind of
She's not here, that's not fair.
right off the bat, but what a learning experience to read the.
Oh my gosh, that would be so hard, because just learning the language is going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't know if you
Initially.
want to do that right away.
Oh.
I think that would be mean.
That's a big.
I think that would be a good idea. I do think it would be a good idea, but I think just learning the language, I mean, we
Okay.
talk in these crazy NOIs and RAOs
Okay.
and.
All right.
Could we do co-clerks?
What was that, Jeff?
Rebecca's
He just volunteered.
be appointed.
Could you do co-clerks?
Co-clerks. So have someone be one for now, and you'd have to ask her if she want to be a clerk. I don't think you can appoint her right away.
Let her learn.
Okay, without that, then, David, would you like to be clerk?
I was
You're
going to
great
say,
at reviewing things, David,
But not remembering things.
but reviewing them.
But you guys write them, right?
Yeah,
I
they
read
write
it.
them, yeah.
So we don't have to write them, we just have to go by what both of you.
Yeah.
Wait, who does the who gives the
Basically,
jet?
I write the minutes and I send them out to everybody, and then if
Right.
anybody has any corrections, they would say them during the meeting.
Right.
And then, but you kind of coordinate that, sort of.
You say, this looks good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could say, didn't somebody think something else or whatever. But, I mean, all of these meetings lately, everything's recorded, so.
Yeah.
That's also true.
So it's easy to go back, and I just learned this talk to type thing. That.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy, though.
But it's weird. It makes really weird things. I did a planning board one and sent out all the crazy things it thought it said to everybody, and it was very funny.
So basically, everyone should be looking at the minutes and just seeing if you were represented properly, if nothing else.
That's all I look at. I just look at what you told me I said.
Yeah, just look for Peter, and it says, Peter said such and so, or Mr. Samuelson.
Rich, would you like to stay on as liaison with the Neponset Reservoir?
Yes, I enjoyed that.
Oh, wait a second. So is Dave going
I was
to be
going to
close?
say, you just,
Yeah.
you nominate?
Yeah, you skipped right over
Someone needs to
that.
nominate.
Doesn't want to make sure he does. Just want to worry about the votes.
So you're nominating Dave?
Dave, yeah.
All right.
For,
So then you need a second.
I'll
Second.
Dave.
All right.
All
All
in
right, now you
favor?
can move on to the liaison.
okay. Rich for Neponset Reservoir.
What is it? NRR.
NRRC.
Yeah.
Anybody know what that what does that
Yeah,
stand for?
and the Neponset Restoration,
Reservoir
Restoration Committee.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some other one?
You done?
Oh, it's gone by a couple of names, but that's the official.
Oh, another
name.
liaison you're
Another
talking about?
liaison for something.
For
For
recreation?
Park and Rec. Who's Park and
Yeah,
Rec?
Jeff,
Jeff, are you Park and Rec liaison?
It's recreation.
I am, yeah.
Are you staying that?
Well, so that's something, I mean, the only issue with that is you can never go to meetings, because they're always.
Meet on the same day,
Monday
right?
night that ours are. What was that?
They meet on the same day, don't they?
Yeah, it's like I've gone to like 2 meetings in the whole time, just because they meet this exact same time that we meet.
That's a good gig.
So everyone's going to have that problem.
Yeah, so you might as well stay, because not like somebody else can go to the meeting.
Right, yeah, exactly.
yeah. If something comes up that's urgent, you can go to their meeting for a while and then come back to ours.
Yeah, I mean, it's all there. The only time it came up that it made a difference is when we were first starting the Lane property stuff.
Okay.
And the Agricultural Commission, I guess, has 5 openings, so any of you guys want to join the Agricultural Commission, I believe Ed Lawton is the only member right
He's
now.
the only one, everyone else is dropped out.
Oh, wow.
What's the agricultural committee do?
We don't have any, well, no, I take that back. We do have a little bit of agriculture, very little.
He told me about some that I hadn't even thought about. You've got Lions.
Right.
You've got what is it? Mill Street.
Yeah.
Land over there. Normandy Farm. The Normandy family, the Daniels
The
family.
Daniels family.
Yeah, tree farm, right?
There's a tree farm, yeah.
Yeah, that's at Normandy Farms.
And then the guy with the
Well, what about the
Grossmith?
property across from the community gardens? That's, is that another farmer from Bridgewater, I think, that used to hay that?
There is someone who hays it. That's the Hershey Farm still.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but he's from a different town.
yeah.
You don't need to be appointed as a liaison,
the
just if
40Bs
anybody's
going in?
interested.
It's across the
So
street.
if you want to join another board or committee,
I see. 40 Bs going in the wooded area there,
I don't
as
think
far as I know.
Oh, the
it's
field
required
stay.
that we have a liaison to that.
I don't think so. I mean, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing, but if it's not a very active committee, it's not necessary at this
I don't
point.
know. Sharon Watson had asked me when she was here if I wanted to take the minutes for them, and I never heard a word from any of them, so.
Ah.
Sue Thibodeau was a member of it, so.
Huh. Oh, and if any of you, I forwarded the NRRC's newsletter. It was awesome. It was so good.
they did a
I would
great
really
job.
like to, the link is large. I'd really like to be able to post it somehow on our conservation website, or at least something, a link perhaps, because it was really good. I mean, that's the kind of thing I feel like I should do. I'd love to do that, I just don't have time. But really good stuff in there.
The link is too large?
The link was rather large, I believe, to that particular.
You can make the link anything you want.
Yeah, don't you
can
just
have
hide
it
it?
say NRRCC newsletter and just hyperlink it to that. You don't-
That's true.
It doesn't have to be the whole string.
That's true. I haven't been getting onto the website to make changes that often lately, and if you don't do it, you kind of lose it.
Can we do minutes? Jim, do you have any minutes?
Yeah, let's do them.
Okay.
Are we done? Are we talking East Street at all?
Oh, yeah, we got to do executive session.
We've got executive session that we've got now. How can we do Zoom?
You can do executive session, but you have to do it at the end, and you would only come out of executive session to adjourn the meeting.
To adjourn, yes.
So that's why I wanted to do all this other stuff first.
Okay, but can we do it with Zoom? Because isn't that going out to anybody that wants to?
That's a good question.
You'd have to turn off the live feed, but keep the Zoom. You know, put up the.
Paul's nodding.
Yeah.
It's like he can do it.
He puts up that thing that says Conservation Commission is in executive session, so that turns off the cable part of it.
Oh, is that what
But it
the
would
Board of
keep the
Selectmen would do?
Zoom, so
Okay.
only those who are logged
Anybody who
in
wants to get on
would
Zoom
be
can get on.
participating.
Oh, okay.
And he can tell who's logged in.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do the minutes real quick like Jim.
All right, January 25th.
Yep.
I had no problems except for, and I'll send this to you, Diana, just simply my suggestion, which was on the final page. I suggested that the figures should be shown as a finding in the order, and I'll send that to you. Anybody have an issue with what was stated in the minutes?
Nope.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the January 25th meeting minutes.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, I have March 8th.
What about February?
The darndest, I couldn't find them.
Okay.
I'll leave that to the next clerk.
Okay, March 8th.
March 8th it is. I had no changes to the March 8th minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 8th meeting.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then I have the March 22nd.
25?
Very short.
Okay.
Not much to them. I had no changes. I'll make a motion to approve the March. I have 22nd.
25.
minutes.
Is it 25 or 20?
It's 25
I have
here.
written on the minutes 22nd. Maybe that's
It's
the
the
one thing we need
22nd.
to change then.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, it's the
okay.
22nd.
22nd.
Sorry, I wrote that
22nd,
wrong.
okay.
Other than
Typo.
that, yeah. I make a motion to approve the March 22nd minutes.
Okay, second.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
April 8th
Don't
are
have
still in
February
limbo.
1 or
That's the
April 8th.
super long meeting.
Okay, all right. All right. Anything else before we go into executive session then? Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to go in executive session?
To go to an executive session to discuss pending litigation and adjourn for the sole purpose of adjourning the
Come in,
meeting. Or
yeah.
come out of executive session
Come out of the
to
exec, and
adjourn
then
the
we
meeting.
get adjourned, correct.
And it needs to be a roll call vote.
All right, Mr. Marsh.
Aye.
Jeff, did you leave?
Aye.
Okay. Rich?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
And I. We're in executive session.